I think the Amazon Web Services stuff is still making
Okay,
things.
I believe now it works. It works. Yeah, just drop a comment if you can see and hear us. I don't know, we have some issues today.
Mhm.
Sorry, I believe everything will be okay. Okay, I can see that we are live now. Okay, everything is good.
Okay.
Yeah, so hello everyone again. I don't know what has happened, lately it was some issues with AWS, so I hope it will not affect us anymore. So yeah, fingers crossed, because we have like some value information. And hello everyone again. Hello from Switzerland. Hello.
Hey, Kelly from San Francisco. I used to live there. Stacy, great to see you. And if you guys want to put in where you're from and what you want out of this, that will help me give what you want.
Amazing, amazing. Hello everyone. So excited. Amazing. Hello, Stacy. Yes, amazing. Thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you, Sydney. Amazing, Fabio. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your help. And yeah, we'll wait maybe another minute or so just to all the people to connect. And while we are waiting, do not hesitate to share your expectations for our for our live session today, and share where have you joined us from. Yeah, because we
Hey,
have
Danae.
a lot of people.
Great. Washington State. Shout out to Pacific Northwest. I'm here in Portland, Oregon. So great to have you with us, neighbor. Got Veronica over in Raleigh. Fabio's with us. Great to have you with us again, Fabio.
Yeah, Fabio he's an amazing guy.
Yeah,
All of
he's
our
awesome.
users are amazing guys and girls, and yeah.
Yeah.
Hi from Argentina. Hello. Hello, hello. Okay, I believe we can start.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
People start to share their expectations, overcome inconsistent performance. Yeah, it's something that Steve definitely helps with. Amir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Great to see Amir.
Yeah.
Excited to be working with Amir.
Yes. Brazil. Alex from USA. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Awesome.
Great. Great feedback. Thank you so much.
New Orleans.
Hello. Hello, Chris.
Chris from Pacific Northwest up in Vancouver, Canada. Beautiful there. Willamette Valley. Hello, Sydney. We're neighbors. I'm here in Portland, Oregon.
Nice. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, let's dive into it, I believe.
Okay. Well, let me. I'm going to share a few things today. For those who've seen me speak before, some of it might be familiar, but I want to take a little different take on it to get very, very specific about, the ways that ADHD can impact us as entrepreneurs, is just on a real financial basis. So I'm going to run through a few things and do some demos, and we will be in good shape. Okay, so talk for today is From Dopamine to Dollars, the ADHD Way to Consistent Revenue. So what I want to start with is a question. And the question is, what's the single best way to get paid? So if you want to put your answer in the chat to this question, we'll give it a minute. What's the single best way that you know of to get paid?
I believe I know the answer, but let's check our chat.
Yeah, let's give it away. And anybody who's already in my group, Mike and those folks, you know the answer already. But
yeah, because I also subscribe to Steve's newsletter, and yeah, I know the answer, but you may guess. And we already have some right answers.
yeah. Veronica gave away the game.
Work.
Yeah, so we said
That's
work,
nice.
money, ask early and often, offer services daily. So
Invoices.
yes, and that is, it's kind of funny is that uh, in our group, and a lot of people I coach, the best way to get paid often is actually send the invoice. And it's kind of a little bit of a joke inside my co-working groups and my programs, but a lot of people have already provided so much value for folks, and then that actually sending the invoice gets kind of buried, and we're gonna we're gonna talk about why that is, and some other ways that ADHD kind of makes these kind of really simple, obvious things that, of course, like if you've done the work, get paid, you should just send the invoice and get paid, but makes that harder than maybe you would think it would be. Um, and all these other answers are on point as well. And I'm going to tell you why those things are somewhat challenging um, for ADHD brains. All right. So let's think about the good stuff about ADHD brains. And being is that ADHD often is the spark that businesses get started with. Why is ADHD a great way? Why do a lot of folks with ADHD brains eventually find themselves in starting a business or being an entrepreneur? It's because we're constant ADHD brains are constantly interested in things, constantly learning, and we have these bursts of insights and brilliance, and we think, we have an idea, we're going to make something. And we're going to help people, and we're going to create this thing. So we start the business, and in that starting a business, there's lots of these quick hit actions and reactions. Like we're always constantly learning, we're creating stuff new. There's novelty and dopamine galore in the starting of a business, and wearing all the hats and fulfilling many functions. So it's not the same thing day after day after day, which is very hard on an ADHD brain to have routine and kind of boredom and all that. So that's the good stuff, and that gets us going and that gets us started. But then there's the flip side, which is the struggles that we hit. And these are things I hear from folks I talk with, people I interview, people who have started in my programs. It seems like every day seems like a battle, not to come up with the ideas. Ideas are constantly coming, but to sit down and initiate tasks, to actually start and do the things you intend to do. So create the thing to sell, so to speak. People express, I have all the pieces, I have experience, I have skills, I have the track record, but I just can't get going. Instead of working steadily, I don't do anything. I beat myself up about it and then work 12-hour days on the weekend to catch up. I get stuck in my head trying to figure out what's actually important. By the time I decide, half the day is gone. And I put a ton of effort in for 60%, and then it's really not critical after that. It kind of goes away. And then that feeling of, I feel like I'm always working on the wrong thing, or I'm bouncing between too many things at once. All right. Does some of this stuff sound familiar to you? Does this resonate with you? I know I've experienced this before I was diagnosed. I would and started working on this stuff. I would experience these things all the time. So if these things, if these things resonate for you, definitely put it in the chat and say, hey, that does resonate for me. And so what we have is this kind of successful sometimes, but exhausted in swimming through the overwhelm. Like our growth is inconsistent. We're focusing on everything at once because we don't know exactly how to put things in order. It's hard to start things. So, we're always behind in starting things. So that means we're always perpetually finishing up because we're trying to catch up. And then it's always hard to enjoy downtime because our brain's kind of spinning on all the things that that we haven't gotten to or we want to get to. And and that puts us on that emotional roller coaster and never feeling like we've done enough. I've definitely navigated this in my life, and I know a lot of people with ADHD who navigate this stuff. And it's frustrating because we have this amazing brilliance, and then this sort of deficit in executing and doing things inconsistently. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're gonna talk about how do we take this, like our relationship with dopamine, turn it to dollars, and what we'll cover neuroscience behind the inconsistent income cycles, and specific ways that ADHD costs entrepreneurs and prevents us from doing the things and making the money and doing the things that we know we're capable of. And we're going to talk about some rituals to bridge the dopamine and discipline. And then, how to gamify your business rhythm so progress feels rewarding. So we're going to try to get to all this in a friendly way. So let's get into it. So take a moment, just if you aren't familiar with me, you haven't heard of me, just a quick background. From the outside, I've been pretty successful. I took my first startup idea. I started from idea to multi-million-dollar exit. That picture on the left is me and winning an angel competition with that big check for $50,000. Back in 2008, Portland has a motto, keep it weird, which we do. From this guy to our little frogs who are becoming a worldwide meme. So I took that to exit, and that exit sign is actually a gift from some of my investors who, when we had the exit, they gave me an exit sign. So that was kind of fun, and that's what's in my background. And then after that, I started coaching. I worked for the company that acquired us, eventually became the CMO of a $100 million company, and then got burnout and left, and then started coaching other founders and built a multi-six-figure coaching practice. So on the outside, yeah, pretty successful. And that belied the story that was going on the inside. So on the inside, I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD until I was age 54. So after all this stuff had happened, I didn't understand that I was doing this all with ADHD, and explained a lot of the patterns, how I always felt overwhelmed, always swimming through the overwhelm, always paying the ADHD tax, like having to work that much harder, 4 times harder just to get things done and going and focus and make decisions and stuff like that. It is just daily struggle, right? And, presenting a normal face, but in the back of the house, basically, swimming like mad to stay afloat. And so over the years, it'd be all these brilliant ideas, half executed. And I knew I was underperforming. I knew there was some potential there. I knew there was brilliance. And even though there was some success on the outside, I knew it was just a fraction of what I was capable of if I could only focus, if I could only sit down and make decisions and be consistent. And so I'd always feel like there was something I hadn't done, perpetually finishing up. So I could never enjoy downtime. And it really crowded out different parts of my life. So at age 54, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I love the way that somebody I just interacted with said, it felt like getting the blueprints to the house I've lived in my whole life. I love that way of thinking about it because it explains so much of all these behaviors and why things where they are the way they are, and all these behavioral patterns. And so I've taken what I've learned about the entrepreneurial world and seeing the journey from 2 people in a room to being in a private equity board meeting in London, and everything in between, and everything I've learned and lived with ADHD. And so I have a podcast called ADHD Entrepreneur Accelerator that release episodes and shorts on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And I have my signature program, Your Weekly OS, as well as the which you'll hear about a little bit more later, and the ADHD Entrepreneur Accelerator program that comes after it. So this stuff is things that I've lived, and once we know about it, we can operate in a very different way. So my mission now is to help ADHD entrepreneurs succeed. And in order to do that, we really have to understand what's really going on with our brains, right? Because one of the things I've learned over time is that the ability that you can work with your ADHD brain is the ability for you to actually make the progress in your business. So I love what Trevor Noah said about adult ADHD. It's not an attention deficit. He said they made it seem like you can't pay attention when in fact it's more that you can't choose what to pay your attention to. And I think that's so on point. I think ADHD is such a unhelpful name or abbreviation, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I was never never hyper, so I never thought it could be ADHD, and it's not a deficit, it's a surplus, right? So, okay, let's talk more about this. So what's really in the way of all this stuff? And really when you think about ADHD, the salient thing is it's an executive function deficit. And so what are the different components of executive function? That it's the planning and prioritizing, it's the organization, just getting organized, the task initiation, working memory, like the ability to keep things out of sight in mind. And so for us, it's out of sight, really out of mind. And we pay a tax on that. Just as a colorful aside, I washed my AirPods this past week because I forgot they were in my pants pocket. So fun times. Good news is Apple makes a product that can survive the washing machine. At least the pros can, because they still work.
But don't test it.
Don't test this. Don't try this at home. Exactly. Impulse control, like the ability to not do something that attracts you, and then emotional control and regulation, flexible thinking versus binary, like either or thinking, and then the self-monitoring of all this and understanding that it's all going on. So this is what helps us decide, make decisions, get into action, and sustain things over time. And so what it is, how it presents itself, and if you've spent some time learning about ADHD, it presents itself in these kind of quirky things like time blindness. Our relation to time is really interesting. Like an hour can feel like a minute if we're really interested in something, and a minute can feel like an hour if we're not interested in it. And then just our ability to estimate stuff and figure out how long things are going to take, it's just, we're really not good at it. Procrastination, distraction. Our brains are always generating ideas, taking in input from inside, outside, and then generating more ideas and then creating distractions. So we have a challenge prioritizing, and we have option overloads. And heightened rejection sensitivity, this idea, and I wasn't aware of this, and this is like something we'll talk about in like the 3 ways that ADHD can really impact your dollars and your cash and your business, is that heightened sense of rejection sensitivity. And that is something that can prevent us from doing a lot of things. And emotional dysregulation, when we get hit by certain events in life, then we're going to be less regulated. And that decision fatigue and paralysis, where we've got all these options and our brain keeps pouring more options in. And it's just like, how do we actually like navigate that? And eventually our brain gets tired and we decide to do nothing. And then that over time creates this greater chance of rumination, anxiety, and depression, right? Is like, we have this brilliance, we're not executing on it. We have this fatigue and paralysis, this overwhelm. And if that happens over time, and we know that can lead to this kind of level of depression. And I love what Dr. Russell Barkley says. It's like, ADHD isn't an attention disorder, it's a performance disorder. Right. And so let's get into that, because that's really at the heart of this dopamine to dollars idea of what gets in the way of us making a business that's really thriving. Right. And so the thing to start with is, what are ADHD reward mechanisms? Now, there's 2 really big ones that ADHD brain will get us into action. And that is 1, intense interest. If we're intently interested in something, we will just do everything about it, everything with it, and we will get into action. And it's it's great, right? It'll lead us down the well. Wherever we go, we can go for hours, right? All of a sudden, we can really focus. On the other end, it is urgent consequences. Like if we're at a deadline or we absolutely have to get something done, we'll generally start getting into action. And so between intense interest and urgent consequences, these are the things that get us into motion. But in between all of that, like this cycle of like intense interest, I'm really interested in it. Okay, and now I got to produce something. Now it's going to fall off a little bit, but then there's going to be a deadline, and now I have to perform, and now I have to get to it. And in between the intense interest and the urgent consequences is the dopamine desert, right? This is a place where things aren't as interesting, where there isn't a deadline, perhaps. And it's really hard for an ADHD brain to motivate itself into action when we're in the dopamine desert, the in-between spaces. And the ironic thing about that is if we could move things forward with, through the dopamine desert without intense interest or urgent consequences, then we'd be making consistent progress over time, right? And that's our little area that we have to master, because in business, a lot of the success comes in those areas, right? Is being able to work through and be able to get into action whenever you need to. And what happens is when it's just intense interest and consequences, we get this stress roller coaster over time, right? I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. It's like, hey, we'll rally and we'll make the deadline, and then we'll have this big crash. And then we have to get ourselves back together and then scale back up until the next big deadline or next set of consequences. And we repeat the cycle. And you do that over time. And I can tell you, as somebody who's now 57, it don't get easier over time. Like, you don't get more energy as you get older, right? And it can really, really weigh on us. I love that. And this person, this last comment prior to this, you thought they were just lazy in between there. No, it's like, this is how your brain works, right? Your brain isn't going to get into action without those two things, unless, and we're going to talk about how you actually make that happen going forward in part of what we're going to cover. Right. And so what this does is it creates our near-term problem. This is the heart of the underperforming, right? Is like, we have the brilliance, we have the interest in the idea, and then we know we can deliver if you put our backs to the wall. But if we don't do the in-between, then we're going to be underperforming. We're going to get into decision paralysis. We're going to be procrastinating because our brain's like, I don't know, this isn't interesting and we're not going to get in trouble. So why should I not be watching YouTube? Right. That's what our brain will say to us. It's like, brain, it's the argument we have with our brain. And that feeling of knowing you could have done better, like, even if you make the deadline, you kind of you could have done better if you had actually taken advantage of all the time you had. And then that just means like finishing isn't that great, like a feeling of achievement or satisfaction. It's just relief. It's like, oh, dang, I made the deadline. Phew. And then it's really hard to feel that satisfaction. And then we can't relax because we know there's probably other stuff we should be doing. And then that starts crowding out other parts of life because our brains were just so focused on that. And that gets a little challenging, and can crowd out our relationships and things like that. And so what happens over time is, I like to think about compounding, as Einstein said, is one of the great, most powerful forces in the universe is compound interest. But compounding works on every part of our lives, really, right? And when it's working for you, like, over time, things really can become amazing. Like Bill Gates said, we overestimate what we can get done in a week. We or a day. We underestimate what we can make happen in 10 years. And so if we can do that, if we can, sustain over time and be consistent and navigate dopamine deserts, then we're going to have compounding working for us. When we don't do that, it may not be working against us as much, but it's not working that hard for us when we're constantly restarting or we're not delivering or whatever. Then over time, there's a huge cost to it. So it doesn't have to be this way, right? So the good news is that once you know how to play the ADHD brain game, then amazing things can happen. So just a few things that I've been hearing in my groups, in my programs, in Weekly OS and Accelerator. This person landed 2 new contracts this week. This was huge. Got a project done ahead of schedule last week. Like, you'd think that was like everybody was mind blown. Like, what do you mean? It wasn't just even done at the deadline, it was done ahead of schedule. So this person's just living in a new reality. It's pretty cool. This person made their deadline, took a short break, and got ready to refocus. This person was making progress. Doing client work is actually fun because he was really resisting it. It's just hard to start it, right? And that's a thing that we have is in our group is like, yeah, starting can be harder than doing it. So it's pretty. There's ways to like navigate this, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, okay, what are the specific ways that this gets in the way, and what are the ways that we can actually make that progress. Just looking at some of the comments, yeah, I love that. My brain is like a messy garage. The knowledge is there, but it takes me longer to find the answer. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that hindsight. I love this, Willow. Hindsight creates great tension when I see what I could have done in those periods of inertia, which just makes the next little worse, right? Yeah, you have this dread of like, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, is like, you have this you go into the new thing with all this intention, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to work ahead. And then it doesn't happen. And so like, you kind of suspect it and dread it. So totally get it. Love that. Love these comments. So keep them coming. Okay. So what are our cash challenges? So all this stuff impacts our ability to make money, to turn dopamine into dollars. And so what are these challenges? And I'm going to break them down into really 3. The first one is proposing. Like, one of the things that a few people said was, hey, you got to actually pitch, right? And proposing, like, if we don't pitch or propose or make offers on whatever we're doing, or creating something that and then finishing the creations that we can actually offer it, like, we're not going to make any money because we haven't actually offered it to folks. So what happens is, and this is really fascinating, something I realized over many years, money is not always motivating, right? Which is odd as an entrepreneur to say, because if you're an entrepreneur, it's like the popular vision of an entrepreneur is, yeah, we're going to make $1 billion or whatever, or $1 million or whatever, and that's the thing, and we love the money. But for an ADHD brain, money isn't always motivating, right? Because remember what we're motivated by. We're motivated by intense interests, and we're motivated by intense consequences, urgent consequences, right? And so we will be in it for the idea, right? And just be loving the idea, and not necessarily the money side of things. Not that we don't want it, right? But it's like the idea is where we get the oomph, and then we hit the dopamine desert, and then things slow down. And money isn't necessarily, it's often because the money comes as a reward for hitting a deadline, or for paying things and just the kind of taking care of life. It's more about the freedom and relief from consequence, a consequence of not having money, a consequence of not delivering. And so there, like we said, when you hit the deadline, sometimes there isn't the satisfaction. It's more the relief, right? And relief is one kind of emotion, but as soon as that relief is met, or those basic needs are met, like the thirst for more money kind of goes away, because that's not the motivating factor. So motivation declines once enough is once there's enough to remove consequences, essentially, is what I was trying to say there. And that was something that would always surprise me. I'd always be sitting in some of these meetings, or when I was in a lot of coaching programs when I in growing my coaching practice and learning from other people who were great at digital marketing. And everybody be so pumped up on the money side, and I was like, why am I not motivated as much as I think these other people are? And I just finally sort of dropped the mask once I learned about ADHD. It's like, okay, that isn't my primary motive, and that's okay, as long as we know we still need to grow a business, and we still want to get the reward for all the work we do, and we want to make the impact from our idea and our brilliance. So we want to just remember why we do that, and continue to put that in front of us. I'd be really interested to see if other people have felt that, because it's one of those things that, again, is just, if you're an entrepreneur, it feels like, wait, how can you not be into that? And or how can that be not your most major motivator? And I'm just like, well, this is how my brain works. And so uh, it's something that we gotta work with. Okay, challenge number 2, and this is obviously a really big challenge, is like delivering the thing. So we're able to create the thing, propose the thing, offer the thing, sell the thing, right? And selling the thing too is like one of the other things we have to overcome is the rejection sensitivity, because we're making an offer, we're putting something out there, and somebody's going to say no. In fact, a lot more people are going to say no than say yes. That's just the nature of business, right? So so we have to fight through that. So let's say we do fight through that. Okay, awesome. We fought through that. Now we've won the thing. Now we got to deliver. Okay, so we get the dopamine hit from getting the yes, and we get the validation, and now we've got to actually deliver, right? And this is what can happen, right? Is we don't deliver, or we under deliver, right? Like, it's really hard to work ahead on this stuff. No action until the deadline. And sometimes deadlines get flat out missed, and you have this sense of asking for extensions. And then you have this guilt and shame for letting everyone, including yourself, and maybe especially yourself, down, because you're brilliant. You have this abilities. You have these talents. You have this thing you've created. And then this hits the bottom line, right? You might not get paid, or win the next gig. And the business truism is that it's a lot. There's only 2 places you're going to get money from, and that is from new customers or current customers. And newer customers are more challenging to get than doing more work for your current people who already bought from you and trust you. And so if you don't win that next gig, or if you don't deliver, then you lose that opportunity, and you lose that kind of compounding on that relationship. So, and I've experienced all of this stuff. And then the aftermath, right? Of like, this is like the heart of the dopamine desert, is like no follow-up. And that could be, I didn't follow up from the proposal I made. I didn't follow up on the invoice that isn't paid. I didn't follow up on, it's like, what's the next step? Like, I already did the thing once. You mean I have to do it again? And it's these kind of low dopamine activities. Sometimes I call them the admin abyss. And then in our group, we call sometimes the I don't want us, because it's not something that our brains are really excited about. And there's not like an imminent urgent deadline. But if we don't do it, like, we don't get paid, or we don't get to find out what they thought about our offer, or we don't make the offer. So invoices not sent, so no dollars. Expenses not tracked, so bills get missed. And so late fees and little penalties, and you've got these avoidable cash loss little elements, and we find like that's a tough hit, right? So, and then we have all these assets underused and forgotten about. For instance, we have things that we've already created that we've totally forgotten about. This is one of the things that in my co-working groups, in my weekly OS program, that people will suddenly discover that they actually had already done the work that they thought they hadn't done, because working memory being what it is, you forget about it. And they're like, oh my gosh, I already did this, and I just need to like just tweak it a bit. And if I can just get that done, then it wasn't as bad as I thought. Like, so there's all this, there's a bit of opportunity costs. Looks like I have a little technical. So what do we do about it? How do we take these things? And let's just stop there for a moment. And I just want to see who is, if this is resonating with folks. If the things I've described, right, the 3 things we talked about is the challenges around proposing, essentially, the delivering, and the aftermath. And Evelyn, that's the aftermath is a great, like, you wrote a book, right? Now you feel bored promoting it. Exactly. That's like the aftermath stuff, is like the intense interest and deadline was in the book. And that's awesome. You created this book. It's amazing. Right. But then like, if you want to, deliver, make good on that potential from a money point of view, it's like, you got to promote it. You got to offer it to people. You got to say, here it is. You got to let people know it exists, or else they can't buy it. It's just one of those things. And that's one of the fundamental challenges. Awesome. I'm glad this stuff is resonating. Because that way I don't have to feel it alone. And so we're going to talk about key number 2 is game your brain, and 3 is don't do it alone. So one of the things that I've learned over time is that because of timelines, because of our relationship with time, far away deadlines, goals are really tough for ADHD brains to work with. If it's a year out, a quarter out, 2 years out, the whole, what do you want to be in 5 years? It's like, I don't know. My brain doesn't go that far out. It can't track that. So, and days are way too variable. So, because our days can blow up in a heartbeat. So weeks I have found to be the best container. If you want to gamify things, like gamify your week, like how are we going to like make this week happen? Right. And, if we string together 4 good weeks, we have a great month. So, and a week is a container an ADHD brain can work
Steve,
with.
I'm sorry, I believe you are not presenting.
I'm not presenting.
Slides. No.
Okay. Well, let me reshare it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you back?
Yes.
Sweet. All right. So, go through this. We just talked about years and course too far out. And so this is what I do. This is where I intersected with xTiles, is because I started to think I wanted to organize my week in a certain way, and I used my methodology for it. This is what I teach. And I wanted a dashboard where I could focus it with one glance. I needed to keep priorities front and center because calendars bury priorities. Everything is equally, laid out. And I need something to keep the priorities front and center because I will lose sight of them. And it helps me not be surprised. It's and I love about xTiles. It's very adaptable, and it isn't its own distraction. So a quick walkthrough of my dashboard that I use every week, every day. So you just get a sense of ways to organize things and some concepts that I think you'll find interesting. And I know some of you have seen this already. So and some of you are actually using this already. So here's my actual weekly dashboard in xTiles. I need to update the day. I have a typo in here. It's the 20th of this week. So what I need to do, the way I use my dashboard, is I need to know why I'm doing this, right? We have to have that intense interest to keep pulling us over time, to drag us through the dopamine desert. I call it the magnetic north. It's one of the concepts I teach in my weekly OS course. And I know that I have a mission that I want to help ADHD entrepreneurs. I have a vision for what I want this part of my business to do. And I have some values. And I take this, I break it down into waypoints and steps. And then I organize the different projects I have. I use the toggle to have projects and tasks. And I'll brain dump a bunch of them and then take each of these columns and narrow and whittle them down. And then I throw them into my weeks, and I have a very specific way of organizing of time blocking. Normal time blocking is not really helpful for ADHD brains. It takes too much cognitive load to try to pick where everything is, and we have no good time estimation function. So I use this thing, a concept I learned from a coach named Aaron Croft about the 2-hour workday, thinking about, hey, I've got about 2 hours of really peak executive function each day, sometimes more, sometimes less. I want the most important things to go into those 2-hour workday areas, those 2 hours. And that helps me ensure that those things actually move forward. And if I move those things forward, the most important things, the proactive things, then I will have made progress for the day. And everything else that happens is gravy. And it works really well to move us forward. And that's the short tour of it. There's a bit of self-care tracking here too, because I want to be on top of, reminded of like, oh, did I sleep? Am I on whatever meds that I'm working through at the moment? Did I move or do physical activity? And is my nutrition at least try to eat as well as I could? So that's the dashboard that I use, and this is why I love xTiles, because it was so easy to create, and it's just super awesome. All right, just keeping an eye on time. We'll keep on moving on. And okay, next thing is game your brain, right? So this is one of the things. This is kind of a big kind of mental switch, right? Is I think of executive function for an ADHD person is like insulin for a diabetic. It's like something we got to manage actively and think about actively. And so I switched the whole way of thinking, not how do I get everything done, to like, how do I best work with or manage my brain? Like if I know I'm hitting the dopamine desert, I know that I'm going to need to operate on that day a little differently than I'm in like starting intense interest type of thing. Environment over willpower is like, there's only a small amount of willpower and discipline that we have access to each day, and it decreases as the day goes on. So being really strategic and creating environments that help us do those things and that we want to do, versus like trying to grind through them through discipline and willpower. Perfect example is it takes a lot less willpower to turn off notifications and work for a time versus like work for a time and try to resist all the notifications. And this is something we'll talk about. We have more executive function together than alone. And that's what I'm going to talk about next, is like doing it with a tribe. And to me, this has been the biggest thing for crossing the dopamine desert. And the people, there's several people here from who are been through my various programs, or in my co-working, daily co-working, and have just seen life-changing results. And it's about body doubling. I call it co-working, but it's basically sitting with other people. And it's so great when they're ADHD brains, because we all can drop the mask and say, here's where we're at. And if we're getting distracted or if we're pulling back, but what we usually do is we go in and each day and tell each other what we're going to work on. And then we'll set a timer and we'll just do the thing. And the timer will go off. We'll check in and start it all over again. And in a 2-hour kind of sprint, or 2-hour kind of workday, you have 4 of those sprints. And if you get stuff, people move stuff forward. They send the invoices, they send the proposals, they follow up, they reach out to people, they get past rejection sensitivity and do it, because they've got like a whole tribe, doing tribe with them, where they can drop the mask, and they kind of leverages rejection sensitivity of saying, hey, I don't want to let down the people I just told I was going to do this thing, by not doing it and showing up at the end. So it's like using one part of ADHD to help with another. And here's a quote from somebody who's been in it. I feel more settled when I engage in co-working. Being around others who are also focusing helps me feel accountable and regulated. Yeah, we have more executive function together than we do alone. So, and it's fun. We have a good time. So I bundle all these things, having that understanding of your brain, looking at things a week at a time, having the co-working tribe as a weekly OS, and as a progress system that helps reduce overwhelm and helps prioritize even when you're buried in options, stops procrastination and overcome distraction, and helps us and has that community of like-brained people that we can sustain over time. And I see other folks saying, yeah, you spend a ton of time and energy to create the thing, and it's an amazing thing, and then it's like, oh, but now I have to like promote it, now I have to risk the rejection sensitivity, now I have to like ask for the sale or ask for somebody to look at it, and all the things. And that's how businesses happen, right? Is a series of offers that we make to people. And if we make the thing but don't offer it out and don't make people aware of it, then guess what? Our dopamine is not going to turn into dollars. It's just going to, we'll just stay on the cycle. Yeah, I see that the comment about Notion as well. I came from Notion as well, because I could not set that up in Notion. It would not let me. So that's why I'm a believer in xTiles. And it has to adapt to your unique brain. So here's some things that happen when we do this. When we have a weekly OS and we have all the things that I described. This person was able to complete the work for 3 clients this week. So happy, danced around the house for an hour this morning. And this was a person that was pretty much ready to give up on their business before they started the program. I just feel freer. I mean, it's just amazing. I had a huge backlog of flagged emails and I've cut that in half. I just feel more relaxed. Like I can do this. It's a good feeling. My ADHD brain was telling me to give up. It's too hard. Having a place to show up daily, which both makes me accountable and supports me in this unique way, is quite frankly beyond my wildest dreams. You're encouraging me to get to know myself and meet myself exactly where my brain is functioning daily instead of fighting it and beating myself up. I got more done in the last 40 minutes than I have in the last 2.5 months. And I got the real work done. I got all 5 email sequences, social media done yesterday. That was able to hand it off to VAs. Whole team is working on it now. It's off my plate. That is almost miraculous. So this is the kind of things that people like are able to do with this kind of level of support with a system like this. And so this is where I make my offer here, right? And so like this is a program called Your Weekly OS. It's a 3-week program to build a weekly OS for your specific brain, to run and tune the OS and make incredible progress with your business like you see some of these people have already. And so the components of it are a gamify interactive course where I actually individually coach you asynchronously through the comments, as well as the course material. 3 weeks of co-working and sessions that are Monday through Friday. And I believe we'll be expanding the hours coming up. So right now it's 8 to 10 Pacific time. We're going to add 9 to 11 Eastern time coming up real soon. So there'll be nearly 4 hours a day each day of co-working time, and weekly live learning sessions. And with this partnership with xTiles, you get a year of xTiles Plus access, all included. And yeah, so normally this goes for $4.99. Over the next 4 days, you can save $300. You get it for $199. And just to give you some more info about it, what people say who have been through it, do it. The amount of progress you will make will give you back the value invested and beyond. It was no brainer even before the 3 weeks were over. I've been a productivity hack kind of geek for a long time. Nothing ever sticks. And this 2 hours a day was like absolutely mind blowing. And so some other things people are saying about it. I'm taking away a sense of peace and relief with the brain first approach. And I have been getting more done within the 2 hours and enjoying what I get done. And Sergey, are you putting the link and the coupon in the?
Yeah, I have shared a link, but I can't see a coupon.
Okay. Okay. We got to get that coupon up in there. We just use the one. Hold on a second. The one I gave you for the.
Okay.
So some other comments about the course. Well, sorry, is getting the coupon code for you so you can get the discount. The gamification of this online course platform is incredible. It's so ADHD friendly and much better than other online course platforms I've used. And the attention responses in the online course are not something to be taken for granted. Steve's involvement is impressive and encouraging. So I aim to be that. So it's something that people these are people who've just been through it, are seeing just amazing progress. Of the coaches I've worked with or considered Steve's program and approach has been the best, most thought through one so far. And we'll be including some bonuses for you this time. Some of these are you unlock as you go through the course. So a desktop mission keeper. This is something that you, a really cool template you print out. So everything, the most important thing stays in sight and in mind. My own personal focus music playlist. And when you complete the course, you get a one-on-one session with me when you unlock that and by completing it, which is pretty cool. And then finally, I'm throwing in one more Fast Act bonus for anybody who registers today, and that is taking the subjects of what we talked about today and doing it. I have a 5-day cash triage, 5 ADHD-friendly steps to finding hidden cash in your business, and it'll take you through it, leveraging the co-working and things like that. So if you register today, you get that as well. So that's the bit. Did we get the coupon code in there? Yeah, it's in there. So with that, we'll just sit back. We've got about 7 more minutes for questions.
Yeah, I believe amazing session. And now we have a lot of people who have already seen our live sessions, and this time it's completely new presentation, I believe, and completely new site. So it was just amazing. And I also have seen a lot of people from Weekly OS course because they use xTiles. Sometimes I ask them to share some feedback on our application, and they say like, Weekly OS, it was mind-blowing, life-changing experience. And to be honest, I also have started to use the same approach as Steve does. So recently I was doing like daily planning. I had like huge amount of different tasks to do, and I was like, I looked through the list. It's like 40 items over there, and I do not know where do I need to start. And then I started to use weekly layout, and I understand that I need to do what aligns to my goals, to our goals, I mean, as a team, xTiles. So it made it so much easier, and yeah, strongly recommend to use it. This approach, I don't know, life-changing experience for sure.
Yeah. There's a question on the desktop mission tracker is a widget. No, it's a physical thing that you're able to print out and have on your desk. So it's a template that is that you can customize to your very own, and it everybody who does it just like is able to be I just look at it every day, and every time I get overwhelmed or try to make decisions, or I just look at that for a moment and just read it again, and it tells me about why I'm doing it and what I want my life to look like, and that helps me like go, oh, okay, now I can figure stuff out. The East Coast co-working times, I think it looks like it will be starting November 1st. So I guess November 1st, the beginning of November.
We have another question from Chris.
So what we do we have sessions provide strategies to help deal with RSD. So yeah, in Weekly OS, we have our course curriculum, which talks about how you decide how you do and how you sustain over time. But we also have for the 3 weeks a live coaching session, group coaching session with me, where you can bring in your specific area, your specific question areas, and that can be specifically on the course materials. That can be on like rejection sensitivity that you're navigating. And so you get the support for whatever you need over the course of those 3 weeks. And that's people find that to be hugely valuable. So yeah, we can address your RSD. So question, with all the ideas that you have and projects you take on, how do you choose what to focus to use in the tracker? Well, that's why that's part of what we talk about, this concept called magnetic north. And that's the first step, right? Is we got to understand where we're going and why we're going there and what we want our life to look like. And that's ultimately going to help us decide what's going to be important this week. And then we break it down into steps. And that's the thing that ADHD brains have a real challenge on, is like, we don't know how long it's going to take. And it's like this great big wall of everything now. Everything has to happen right now. And we're really bad at putting it in sequence. And what this system helps you do is put it in a sequence and manage the time.
Thank you so much for your feedback. Feels the same. I believe all of our attendees, they opened a new tab inside their browser and started to sign up. Yeah, it's something definitely you should do. And by the way, we had some experience that we need to maybe try once again. I was attending one of the sessions, like co-working sessions, and people were asking about some questions about xTiles, related to xTiles. So it's always a pleasure to meet Steve's students and our users. So yeah, maybe we can do something like that once again. Why not? Mike, thank you so much for your feedback.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. Yeah, Mike's been Mike just released his first record, an album of singer-songwriter stuff material he's been working on, and partly he's been, what I see, it's amazing because it was a bucket list thing that he's always wanted to do, and he was able to do it. And Mike, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but I'd love to have more people check out your music. But it's just a testament to, like, when you're able to, like, make these kinds of progress and navigate the dopamine desert, like, other parts of your life start to open up, other opportunities that things that you may have put aside because you never had time. And that's just beautiful to see. Like, Sarah K has a question. Do you offer support for entrepreneurs and the nuances in that workspace?
I offer this kind of a support, so you can rely on me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chris
Sure.
still has a question related to about the dates and times.
Dates and times. Okay.
Yeah.
So the date, you can start whenever you want. It's an evergreen course. And so it's a 3-week course. You can start whenever you want. And the times, the co-working is the core co-working. The one that I'm going to be at is the 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific. In November, we're opening up 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. That's just a little early for me, so I won't be there, but we'll have another person hosting those. And then the sessions, the live sessions that we have each Monday are 10 a.m. Pacific time, so 1 p.m. Eastern time. And not sure all the other time zones we can translate into.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I think that's what we got for today. Yeah. So any other last questions? Do we offer support for non-entrepreneurs and the nuances?
Yeah,
non-entrepreneurs. Oh, okay. I misread that. I'm sorry.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we support everybody.
We do have folks who are at jobs and have found this to be really helpful. It depends on how much you can control your schedule and if you can attend the co-working within the context of whatever you're doing. We've had people who are retired who have infinite amount of space and time and found this really good to get them moving and navigating. And that, so yeah, I would check it out.
Yep. Thank you, Willow. Thank you so much for your feedback.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Steve. First of all, amazing session. A lot of insights as always. And yes, thank you all. Thank you for spending this morning, afternoon, maybe evening with us. I hope it was valuable to you as well. For me, for sure. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. And yeah, I believe that's it for today. We'll have another session in 2 weeks. So stay tuned. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah, Lily. Thank you so much. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely will prefer for lots of people working from home and use that. Use it to make amazing progress.
Bilo, thank you so much.
All right.
Okay,
All
I believe
right.
that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day and see you next time.
See you next time, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amir. Thank you so much. See ya.